Have you ever wondered if your cat actually remembers you? Not just recognizes your face or your smell, but genuinely remembers the moment you rescued them, the nights you stayed up when they were sick, the way you always saved the last bit of your dinner for them, the times you cried and they quietly came and sat beside you without being called. Most people assume cats live entirely in the present, that they don't carry memories the way we do, that every time they purr against your leg, it's purely instinct. Nothing more than warmth-seeking, hunger-signaling behavior that would happen with anyone who opened a can of food. But here's what science has quietly discovered, and what most cat owners never get to hear. Your cat doesn't just recognize you, they remember you. And everything you have ever done for them is stored somewhere deep inside that small, mysterious mind, shaping how they feel, how they trust, and how they love you every single day. Let's start with something that might change how you see your cat completely. For a long time, scientists believed cats had relatively poor long-term memory, especially when compared to dogs. Dogs would remember their owners after years of separation. Cats? People assumed they would forget you in a matter of weeks, but then researchers started looking more carefully, and what they found was stunning. A study published in the journal Behavioral Processes tested episodic-like memory in cats, the kind of memory that doesn't just store facts, but stores experiences, where something happened, what happened, and when. The kind of memory that holds moments, not just information, and the cat's past. They remembered. Not in the way we romanticize it, not like they sit by the window replaying scenes from their life like a movie, but their brains encode experiences in a remarkably similar way to ours, forming emotional associations around moments that carry meaning. And what carries the most meaning to a cat? The people who made them feel safe. Think about that for a second, because it explains something you've probably noticed but never had words for. You come home after a long trip, maybe 2 weeks away, and your cat does something unusual. Maybe they ignore you at first, turning away, pretending they didn't miss you. And then, an hour later, they won't leave your side. They follow you to the bathroom, they sleep pressed against your leg, they need your blanket at 2 a.m. Most people read the initial coldness as proof that cats don't care, that they didn't miss you, that they're indifferent. But here's what's actually happening. Cats feel things deeply, but they process emotion differently than we do. That initial distance is not indifference, it's recalibration. Their nervous system is catching up. The safe presence they had memorized, your smell, your sound, your warmth, had been absent, and now you're back. And their brain is doing something remarkable. It's cross-referencing your return against the memory of your absence and deciding how to respond. The fact that they come back, the fact that they curl up against you that night, is not just habit. It is memory in action. It is your cat's body saying, I know this person. I remember what they mean to me. I choose them. Now, if this is already making you think about your cat differently, do me one favor. Drop the word safe in the comments right now. Because what we're about to talk about next is the part most people have never heard, and it might be the most emotional thing you learn today. Cats have something called associative memory, and this is where things get deeply personal. Associative memory means your cat doesn't just remember events in isolation. They remember the feeling attached to those events. They link experiences to emotional states, and those emotional links last. Here's what that means in real life. If you have ever sat with your cat during a thunderstorm, your hand resting gently on their back, your voice calm and soft, your presence steady, while everything outside was loud and frightening, your cat didn't just experience that moment. They stored it. They cataloged you as the thing that made the fear smaller. And every time a storm rolls in after that, or every time anything in their world feels uncertain, their nervous system reaches back to that memory. And it reaches back to you. You became associated with safety at a neurological level. And this goes even deeper. Researchers studying stress behavior in cats found something fascinating. Cats showed measurably reduced stress responses in unfamiliar situations when their person was simply present in the room, compared to being left alone. Simply being near their person was enough to calm them down. That's not coincidence. That's memory. That's your cat's brain saying, I have been with this person before. I survived. I was okay. I am okay now. But here's where it gets even more layered, and honestly, a little heartbreaking in the best possible way. Cats also remember negative experiences with stunning accuracy. Anyone who has ever accidentally stepped on their cat's tail knows exactly what we're talking about. The way they flinch the next time you move too suddenly. The way they take an extra half second before trusting your hands again. And here's the thing most owners don't realize. The cats who come back anyway, the ones who flinch and then press their head into your palm regardless, those cats aren't just forgiving you because they're hungry. They are weighing a memory of pain against a catalog of everything else you've given them. Every soft voice, every warm lap, every night you let them sleep on your chest even when it was uncomfortable for you. They are making a judgment, and they are choosing you. That is not instinct. That is something closer to loyalty than most people ever give cats credit for. Now let's talk about something that will make total sense once you hear it explained, but that almost nobody connects to memory: the slow blink. You've seen it. Your cat stares at you across the room and and then their eyes go half closed, hold, and open again slowly, like they're transmitting something. In 2020, researchers at the University of Sussex ran the first controlled scientific study on slow blinking in cats, and what they found confirmed what cat owners had always felt intuitively. The slow blink is a deliberate communicative act. Cats who received slow blinks from humans were significantly more likely to approach that person, more likely to trust, more likely to initiate contact. But here's the piece that connects to memory. Cats don't slow blink strangers. They don't slow blink people who have frightened them or let them down. The slow blink is reserved almost exclusively for people their nervous system has classified as safe. And that classification, built over time, built through memory, built through every gentle interaction, every respected boundary, every night you didn't disturb them when they needed space. When your cat slow blinks you, they are not just communicating in the present moment. They are communicating something their brain has concluded over the course of your entire relationship. They remember who you are to them, and they are showing you. If your cat has ever slow blinked you, I want you to stop scrolling and hit that like button right now, because what you just realized deserves to be marked. Let's go a little deeper into the science, because this next part is one of the most remarkable things researchers have found about feline memory. Scientists studying episodic memory in animals have long used what's called the what, where, when test. It measures whether an animal can remember not just what happened, but where and when it happened. For decades, it was assumed only humans, great apes, and a handful of highly intelligent birds could do this. Then they tested cats. In a controlled experiment, cats were shown food in specific locations at specific times. Later, they were allowed to return to those locations. And here's what happened. The cats not only remembered where the food was, they remembered which locations they had already visited and when, and they preferentially went to locations they hadn't been to recently. They weren't just responding to smell or instinct. They were reconstructing a past event and using it to navigate the present. That is episodic memory. The same cognitive architecture that lets you remember your first day of school or the way someone's voice sounded when they told you something important. Your cat has this. Your cat is using this every single day. And the most emotionally significant events in their environment, the ones most likely to be encoded strongly, are the events involving you. Think about the first time you brought your cat home. Maybe they hid under the bed for 3 days. Maybe they wouldn't eat. Maybe every time you reached toward them, they flinched back into the corner. And you, instead of forcing it, instead of dragging them out or demanding affection, you just sat on the floor, quietly, letting them come to you on their own terms. That patience you showed in those first days, your cat remembers it, not as a specific scene playing in their mind, but as the foundational emotional data of who you are to them. The first impression wasn't just a first impression. It was the beginning of a file that your cat has been updating ever since. A file that says, this person waited. This person was safe when they didn't have to be. And every act of gentleness since then has been added to that file. Every time you noticed they were overwhelmed and backed off. Every time you let them leave when they wanted to leave. Every time you called to them softly instead of grabbing. It's all in there. Now, here's something I want you to really sit with, because this is the part that ties everything together. You know how cats are often called aloof, independent, emotionally distant? Here's what's actually happening. Cats evolved as both predator and prey. Unlike dogs, who evolved alongside humans in large social packs, cats were largely solitary hunters who had to be extremely careful about who they trusted. Vulnerability was dangerous. Attachment was a calculated risk. So when a cat chooses to attach to you, when they decide, after everything their instincts are screaming at them, to trust a creature that is thousands of times larger than them, they are making one of the most significant decisions their species is wired to make. And they are making it based on memory. They are looking at the record of your relationship and saying, this person has consistently shown me that I am safe, that I matter, that my boundaries will be respected, that I will not be let down. The cats that seem cold to strangers are not incapable of love. They simply haven't built the memory file yet. They haven't collected enough data to override their survival instinct. But you have built that file, and your cat carries it with them everywhere they go. So what does this mean for you? Practically, today, it means that every small thing you do for your cat is not invisible. It is not wasted. It is not forgotten. The way you talk to them in that soft, ridiculous voice that you would never use in front of anyone else. The way you scoop the litter before bed even when you're exhausted. The way you let them steal your pillow without moving them. The way you noticed when they seemed off and took them to the vet even when you weren't sure anything was wrong. Your cat noticed. Your cat remembers. And your cat, in the way that only cats can, quietly and completely loves you back for it. There's a beautiful concept in feline behavior research called social referencing. It describes the way cats look to their trusted person in uncertain situations, the same way a toddler looks back at their parent when they encounter something new or frightening, not because they need you to act, but because your face, your presence, is the thing that tells them whether the world world is okay. Your cat looks back at you every day in small ways. When they hear a strange sound, when someone new comes to the door, when they're deciding whether a new place feels safe, and what they see in you, your calm, your steadiness, your familiar smell and voice, tells them everything they need to know. That is not instinct. That is a relationship built on memory. That is your cat saying, without a single word, you are my reference point for what is safe in this world. Think about that the next time they follow you to another room for no apparent reason. Think about that the next time they settle next to you while you're working and fall asleep. Think about that the next time they press their forehead against yours in that strange ancient gesture called bunting, leaving their scent on you, marking you as theirs. They are not just seeking warmth, they are seeking you. The version of you that lives in their memory. The person who showed up again and again in all the small and quiet ways that matter most. If you've made it this far, I want you to do something right now. Think of one specific moment, one small, ordinary thing you've done for your cat that you assumed they didn't notice. Maybe it was the time you stayed up with them. Maybe it was the way you always warm their food before serving it. Maybe it was the night you were heartbroken and they sat on your chest without being asked. Drop that moment in the comments, because I think when you hear what everyone else writes, when you see how many of those small moments exist between humans and their cats, you'll understand something that no scientific paper can quite capture. The bond you have with your cat is real. It is deep, and it is remembered. Subscribe if you want more science-backed stories about the emotional world of cats, because what we covered today is just the beginning. There's a behavior your cat does when they miss you that most owners mistake for something else entirely, and we're going to break that down in the next video. And before you go, hit that like button. Not for me, but because somewhere in your house right now, your cat is watching you. And somehow, in that small, brilliant mind of theirs, they already know exactly who you are to them. Go be with them.